Hello, good Monday morning here at the Hewitt Public Library. I'm Miss Kay with baby time for this week. This week on our flyers, we're going to be featuring playtime with your baby at all different ages, 0 to 1 year. Play is very important, and our flyer will focus on the importance of play and then give you some activities. Our board book focus this week is on opposites. This book is Yummy, Yucky, and we have quite a few opposite books. If you need help at the front desk, just ask, because it's not real easy just to look it up under opposites. We may need to search that for you a little bit different way, because a lot of titles are going to be like this, and you can't really know what that is if you just put in opposites. It may or may not pop up, so we'll help you with that, but we have a lot of these, and then of course some in our children's books. So there we go for this week. I will see you next time, next Monday, here at Baby Time, and you have a great week. Bye-bye.
Moving on in the word motor, our first O stands for on the floor. And on the floor is the best place to play with your child and really build some cherished memories. It's where they're going to develop their strength. It's where they're going to develop their vestibular system, their sense of movement, which is really important so that they can tolerate swings and playing on the playground as they get a little bit older. And where we can start to work towards crawling and walking and those big milestones that we can't wait for. Unfortunately, our society today is constantly throwing devices in your face, and we feel like we need to have this chair, that swing, this bouncer, and I'm here to give you some great news. You can save some money and skip all that, because on the floor is the best place to play with your child. Now, what can you do on the floor? You can work on your back and work on kicking, moving your arms, and you can play on your stomach, that ever so important tummy time that you're constantly hearing about. So let's dig deeper into tummy time, how you can engage and move on the floor. Here we are on the floor, our favorite place to play, and we're going to be going through a couple different activities that you can do. Let's start with tummy time. As physical therapists, especially pediatric therapists, we swear by tummy time. And as parents, sometimes you just want to swear. So our acronym for tummy time is SWEAR. So the first thing that we're going to talk about in tummy time is slant. A lot of questions we get are about, my child doesn't like being flat on their tummy. How can we still do tummy time, especially in those earlier weeks or months when they're still getting used to it? So doing a slanted tummy time can really help. So you can use, this is a boppy pillow. A lot of patients, you can also roll a pillow under their arms, anything that keeps them from being all the way flat. So early on, if they don't like being all the way flat on their tummy, we can do tummy time here. So this helps them not be quite all the way on their floor. Another way to do slanted tummy time is on you. And when you're working on you, that's a great way. If they're uncomfortable on tummy time, they trust you, they have that connection with you. Skin to skin is also really important, so you can do this type of tummy time skin to skin at home. So when I pick them up from tummy time, I do just support at their shoulder, roll them over so we can get an opportunity to work on rolling and support their head, and bring them back up. Hey. So another way to work on slants is tummy time on you. So we're going to come this way. Okay. Oh. And we're just going to come right here. So this is one of our favorite ways to work on tummy time, because we can talk and sing. We'll do this in the morning when we wake up, and it's a little bit hard to do against the couch, but you can make the slant less and less. So if you're doing this against your bed, you can do less pillows, and eventually work to where you're laying all the way flat. So working on that slant is a great way if your child doesn't like being put flat on the floor. Our next letter in our SWEAR acronym for tummy time is W for weight bearing. So as you start to work on tummy time, We really want to also start working on weight bearing through those shoulders and those arms. This is going to help long term with crawling. They're going to need to put weight through their arms to work on that crawling. So a couple ways to work on this weight bearing. One is to make sure their arms are underneath them. A lot of times I see people put their babies flat down and their arms are just kind of stuck and then they can't move. So we're going to bring their arms slightly in front of them and hold right here. And as you can see, I'm taking my thumbs and pulling his shoulder blades down his back. So that's a great way to support weight bearing. Now Scotty here is only 6 weeks old, so he should not be able to push up yet. We're gonna show you in a little bit some other ways with older babies once they're closer to that 3, 4, 5, 6 month range, how you can work on weight bearing a little bit more. But in the early stages, when you're working on weight bearing, we're just gonna push their arms right here. We can grab a toy, and sometimes if you bring their toys in front of them, you'll see them push. See, he's starting to push up a little bit and lift his head up. There we go, good job. And I'm just helping him with my hands. So he's getting that weight bearing. That's really helping with his neck muscles, his back muscles to lift up and push up. So weight bearing is our W. We're gonna give him a little bit of a rest. Our next is E for engage. So we want to make tummy time engaging. We want to play with tummy time and we want it to be fun. We don't want to just lay them down and walk away. So I brought out a couple things that are going to help him engage at a young age. So we have high contrast cards. You can print a checkerboard off the internet. You can take a Sharpie and make your own. This does not have to be expensive. And we really want to enforce that today, that you do not have to go out and buy everything we have or buy a lot of expensive things. Anyone can do this with their child at home. So you can grab a Sharpie and make these, or you can buy high contrast cards. This is a black and white ball. So something that's going to catch their attention while they're playing. And then as they get a little bit older, you can start bringing in maybe some sounds or things that they get a little more excited about as they start to engage with toys in those older months. So we want to make it fun. The other thing you can do is if you have older siblings, you as a parent, even a dog, our dog will come lay right here and look at him while we're doing tummy time. That's a great time for them to come mimic that and lay face to face so that it can be engaging. After engaging, we have A for awake. So we want to do tummy time when they're awake, and that is something else I really want to enforce. We do follow the American Association of Pediatric Safe Sleep recommendations, which are back to sleep. And the other half that gets left out is tummy time to play. So when they're awake, that's when you do tummy time. If they're starting to fall asleep, do roll them onto their back to follow those safe sleep guidelines. This is really for playtime. We try really hard to follow some semblance of a schedule. We go, once they wake up, we eat first, then we do awake time, and then we try to put them down for a nap. So this is during that awake time window. And then lastly, we have R for regular. This needs to be something that happens regularly throughout the day. The most common question we get with tummy time is how often to do tummy time. A good rule of thumb is once an awake hour. Give yourself grace. We know this won't always happen, but some great ways to incorporate that, like I said, are tummy time on you. So if they're having a hard day and they just really want to cuddle, spend some time cuddling with them on their stomach. Or maybe you're busy, you're out running errands. Baby wearing can facilitate some of the same things as tummy time. So try to baby wear in a baby carrier instead of just carrying them in their car seat while you're running errands. That's another great way to work it in, that once an awake hour. And for how long, a good rule of thumb, you want to do as long as they can tolerate. But if you're trying to get a goal or a target, take the amount of months they are and do that in minutes. So for 1 month old, we might want to try for a minute as your first goal. For 2 months old, 2 minutes. And then the last most common question is, when do we start? And the answer is as soon as possible, right in the hospital, even when you're doing tummy time on you. And then as soon as you get home, start on that tummy time. You're probably not going to go straight to the floor. You're going to start with that slanted tummy time, those inclined tummy times. We're going to show you how to do that on a ball as well. Then with the tummy time at home, we want it to be fun. We want it to be a memorable experience. So if they start to fuss, pick them up. We are not here to It's not boot camp. It's not tummy time boot camp. We want them to like it. So if they start to fuss, pick them up and hold them and love them, and they'll start to like it more and more. We have worked our way up to this. The first time we did tummy time, we were not here for this amount of time. So here's some tips to get started, and keep watching as we work through other on the floor activities. One of my favorite things is telling everyone to have a tummy time corner in the room they most often play. So for us, it's in our living room, and actually not the nursery, because that's where the family spends a lot of time together, and we can play on tummy time while we're engaging as a family. In a tummy time corner, a mirror is a great way to encourage tummy time. This mirror was just from Walmart. You don't have to get a fancy one. And as you're trying to get them to like tummy time, you can put the mirror on the ground, and as they get a little bit older, again, this is more for the 3+ month range. Your younger babies aren't going to be liking their reflection quite yet. And like we talked about, we don't want to force them through tummy time, so if they fuss a little bit, you can pick them up and then try again. But so you see, we have a mirror, and we have different suction cup toys, which is a really great way to make tummy time fun and engaging as they get a little bit older. So we're going to try one more time. Hey, there we go. There. Who's in the mirror? Who's there? Who's there? And if you can get a suction, there we go. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? So the suction cup toys are a great way to combine both the weight shift with the arms and the tummy time and the mirror looking in the reflection. So we can kind of put everything together. Let's see if we can get her to hit it. You want to get it? Get it. Good job. So this is another way just to make tummy time exciting, make it different, keep it novel, mixing it up. They can look at the reflection, they can play with toys and work on that weight shifting. And again, a lot of this is just from the dollar store or your local Walmart. You don't have to spend a lot of money to create this at home. So we're talking about on the floor. One of the best things you can do is just let them play on their back and have free play. Not everything has to be a directed activity where you're doing hands-on facilitation or hands-on working with them. So a great floor mat is a really good investment. We mentioned we don't want you to get lots of devices, but some kind of floor mat which has some engaging hanging toys is going to be really beneficial, and just letting them work on kicking their arms and legs. When they're in that earlier first and second month, it's still going to look pretty jerky and uncoordinated, and then you should see these motions get a little more fluid and purposeful as they progress and get older. When they're on their floor and on the back, we can work on hands to midline and crossing midline, a really important skill. So bringing their hands to midline, just like it sounds, means bringing their hands to the middle. So you're going to need this to hold a bottle. You're going to need this when he gets a little bit older. If he's undoing these little buttons, he's going to have to bring his hands to the middle. That's going to be a lot older. So I like to grab a toy, and when they're 1 and 2 months, we're just going to do hand over hand. So we can bring the toy. We can see if we can get his attention. There we go. Good job. And then once we come here, we can bring his hands to it. Other things you can do is just little games. So I like to sing patty cake. So if we're playing patty cake, just practicing bringing those hands in. Once he progresses and gets older, we're then going to need to cross midline. Hands to midline is the first step. Once they get really good at that, we're going to start reaching across midline. So we're going to grab an older child in just a couple of minutes and show you those cross midline activities. On the floor, we've talked about working on hands to midline, and after that, you start working on reaching across midline and grasping, 2 important skills. So as you're working on teaching your child how to grasp, A lot of times you'll notice when they're a little bit younger than Scotty is they just hold their hands in fists quite a bit. So as we started to prepare for grasping, I would just stroke his hand with a toy. And you can see as I'm stroking how his hand is opening up. And then I put the toy in his open palm and he grasps on. Then you can work on bringing that arm across midline, to midline, tracking the toy, and start combining all the other skills we've worked on. Grasping is going to come in at about 2 to 3 months, up to 4 months. He's not individually grabbing toys off the floor yet, so first they're going to grasp a toy that's presented to them before they start reaching and grabbing toys off the floor. And again, you want to work on doing this to both sides. You don't want to always work on one hand. Children aren't supposed to show a hand dominance till 2 or 3 years old. So all your grasping, all your reaching, really work on both arms. So here he is starting to fist that hand. We're going to come in stroke with the toy. It's opening and now we're grasping. Good job, Scotty. You're holding on so good. All right, we're still talking about slant on tummy time. This is another great option if your child really gets upset when they go straight to the floor with tummy time. So I love the exercise ball, and you can put that ball you got during pregnancy to good use. We can start them really vertical if they don't want to go flat. And then we work towards whatever incline your child can tolerate. So if they get upset going further than this, we're just going to hang out here. You can do a little bit of bouncing if they do get upset. And working on side to side is going to help with some of that head control, that vestibular development we talked about at the beginning. Giving them input, moving different ways. And then we're just going to slowly increase towards being flat. This is also a great way if they're a little bit younger and they're not picking their head up all the way when they're flat. We can work on them picking up their head here. There we go. You see him start to lift just a little bit when we came backwards. And his head might drop a little bit. So he's only 6 weeks. We don't expect him to be lifting his head up all the way. Your older kids, once you get this way, once they start getting to 2-3 months, we want to see them lifting their head up more. And again, get a sibling, dad, pet, grandparent, anything on this side to try to encourage them to lift that head up. And then once they're here, we can still keep working on that side to side. So the ball is a great way to work on that slant and to help them with their tummy time if they're not liking going all the way flat.